Governments deny it. Militaries deny it. Even the mainstream media denies it. But they are here, and they've been here for a very long time. The Mutual UFO Network has been on the front lines uncovering the truth since 1969. And now we're sharing that truth with you. Welcome to MUFON What's Up with your hosts, Katie Page, Christopher DePerno, and Tara Diulis. Exclusively on the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. Wondering what's up? So are we.
What's up, everybody? It is Tuesday night, and you are listening to MUFON What's Up Radio, the show that says discovery starts with curiosity, and curiosity starts with MUFON, brought to you by KGRADB.com. It is so good to be back, and I want to welcome all our listeners here live tonight. This is going to be a real-world test of the Starlink satellite system, because as you guys know, the reason we've sort of been on hiatus a little bit is our last guest, Julie. I was having all sorts of internet issues, so I got rid of my CenturyLink, and I got all Starlink hooked up here in the Rocky Mountains, and it's an extra special day to test because we are getting a little bit of snow up here as we speak. So we'll see how this works even in the clouds. So hopefully this will be a non-glitchy show. Anyway, we have a very special guest for you, or guests, should I say, two guests. They're dear friends of mine, Seth and Anniversary Feinstein. Seth is actually the Assistant State Director for Colorado, among a whole list of other titles, and same with Anniversary, his wife. They're kind of a couple that they get the job done, and they have been interested in the paranormal and UFO world for 30 plus years. So they're going to be really fascinating to talk to, and I can't wait to get to them. As always, we are endorsed by MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, always asking that all-important question, are we alone in the universe? And before I bring my wonderful co-hosts on, I wanted to tell you about several conferences coming up. You know, it's that time of year, spring, summer, everybody's having their get-togethers. And I'm going to start out with one that's coming up here very shortly, and that I'm honored to be a speaker at, and I just can't wait to get there. It's a cool little town, and it's a lot of fun. And that is the 35th Ozark Mountain UFO Conference, and that is running April 14th through the 16th. Like I said, it's so much fun, and you can find more information about that at the ozarkufoconference.com. The next one is right here in my own backyard, and I was invited to speak there as well. It is called the Pikes Peak Conference, and it's the paranormal conference, and that is going to be held over my birthday weekend, so that's a lot of fun. May 19th through the 21st. My birthday falls on that Saturday, so I'll be actually speaking on my birthday, and it's going to be a great time. Again, you can find more information about that at pikespeakparanormal.com. And then, of course, we have Contact in the Desert. That will be held June 2nd through the 4th out there in Indian Wells, California. They have over 60 speakers, intensives, workshops, sky views. Crystal Skull's going to be there, just so many things. And you can find more information about that at contactinthedesert.com. And last but not least, certainly not least, is the MUFON Symposium. And that will be August 24th through the 27th. And for more information about that MUFON Symposium, you can go to mufonsymposium.com. And one other fun thing I wanted to mention here is there was just a wonderful fun event out there in Roswell that we had the honor of attending. If you go to kgradb.com, I was privileged and honored to conduct 10 interviews, and you can see all those interviews on KGRADB, and it's called the UFO Expo Conference Connection. And like I said, it's on their homepage. I did an interview with Daryl Sims. He was just fascinating to speak with. Melissa Tittle and I talked about her new film, Code 12, and it was showed there. It was super wonderful. And the cool thing was Don Schmidt himself makes his way to the International UFO Museum and Research Center maybe 3-4 times a year, and we just happened to catch him. So we were able to grab Don Schmidt there. And I don't know if any of you have been out there to the International Roswell Museum and Research Center, but boy, was I blown away by that research center out there. I mean, you can get lost in there for weeks. I mean, I could personally, weeks, months, years. I mean, it's fantastic. So I hope you get out there and check out their website too, roswellufomuseum.com, because, they have their gift shop there. And I think that's a lot of fun to shop UFO garb. Now that I have all that out of the way, I would love to bring in my wonderful co-host. I'd like to bring in Tara Diulis. You can see Tara Diulis right here on KGRA-DB with SkyStream Live with Mark D'Antonio as well. How you doing, Tara?
Hi, what's up, Katie? What's up, everyone?
What's up? I'm feeling a little hyper, feeling a little good today. So, awesome. Yep. How you feeling? Feeling good?
Great. That's the wind's blowing outside. It's bringing in good energy. So glad to be here.
That's awesome. I think for us, in Roswell, we all came back with colds. And some turned into sinus infections and bronchitis and other horrible things. And, I went through the antibiotics. And, when you're feeling really bad and you start feeling better, you start feeling really good. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is what it's like to not be sick. So excuse my hyper energy. All right, let's bring on Chris DePerno. He is the state director for New York and is also on the ERT. And he is with special guests, our kind of like our silent fourth and fifth hosts, Jerry and Jenna. Welcome, Chris. How you been?
Hello. I'm just playing my little MUFON flying saucer there. Hey, cool. Jenna's back. We found her.
We missed her.
They when they were looking for that thing in Lake Huron, she was bubbling to the top. They were able to pick her up. They got her back. Brought her back by the Postal Service was a little slow. That's why they actually got her a lot sooner. But
they mailed her.
They mailed her.
Oh,
they mailed her. You would have thought she came by Pony Express the way the mail.
Or UFO.
No, UFO is a lot faster. Hey, never sleet, rain, snow, but maybe an alien will stop the U.S. Postal Service. So anyway, she's back. Jerry's a little sad because he thought he was going to go out carousing this weekend, but I guess he's staying home.
He's feeling good too.
Except for it's still broke. He's still got a broken wing. And stuff like that.
White cast.
He'll never go hot air ballooning again. That's for sure. Hey, we got a great show tonight. Seth and Anniversary are going to be on. And first question I have for Anniversary, how she get such an adorable name as Anniversary? I love that name. How many times have you heard the word, hey, what's your name? Jim, Joe, Mary, Julie, John. My name is Anniversary. Yeah. It's so great. I think that's a wonderful name. I love it too.
Mm-hmm. I do too. I love it too.
So you thought I was going to say something sarcastic, but I didn't.
I always hold on. What is Chris going to say now?
No. Other than the fact that Seth is worried about my
Seth,
whatever is that New York accent?
What's that accent?
It's Seth and it's NASA. So get used to it.
That's funny. So Tara, what do you have to kick us off with?
Oh my gosh. Well, guess what's coming up this weekend? Easter. Can you believe it?
I couldn't believe it. Tara told me this morning. I'm like, what?
Katie's on a time warp. Well, here you go with the meme for today. There's 3 eggs sitting at a table eating, laughing, and having a good time, right? Well, the one on the left seems to choke a little and starts to drool. And the others look concerned and ask, are you okay? And then, screams the left egg suddenly as he clenches his belly. And the other eggs are startled and start to run away just as the left egg's tummy cracks and bursts open. And out pops a chick. I don't know. Has anyone seen Aliens? Anyway.
Well, the price of eggs nowadays, I would say, never mind.
Oh my gosh. I just think
Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter,
everybody. And thanks, everybody, for being here tonight.
Oh my gosh. Well, you still have a little bit of time. You can search Amazon, and here you have Bigfoot hanging out with the bunny. And there it is. He's just like, hey, I'm cool. He's cool. He's cool.
He's cool. He's giving that sign and say, I'm going to eat you soon.
He is.
I'm going to eat you in about 5 minutes.
Oh, God. And next we have an alien with his bunny ears all ready for Easter.
Cool.
Isn't he kind of cool? Well,
It's
Easter's
cool.
coming up quickly. And when I was little, I used to imagine, yes, those are on Amazon. I used to imagine what Easter Island would look like during Easter. And Amanda, can you pull that one up?
Did you say Epstein Island?
Easter Island. It's my braces.
Epstein Island, Chris.
Sorry, I thought you said it.
Here we have Easter Island on Easter. Did you guys notice something that those bunnies, there's a bunny head on the ground and there are aliens inside these bunnies.
That's cool.
It leads me to a quick game entitled Alien or Easter Bunny. So Amanda, roll the first one, please. Okay, Alien or Easter Bunny?
Ooh, toss up.
Ooh. Next one, Alien abducting children or Easter Bunny?
Definitely
Hey,
alien.
That's my wife. Hi, Lori.
Okay, lastly, is it the alien or the Easter Bunny? That's what I want to know. Actually,
The
you
green
guys,
eyes gives it away.
looks like my cat. Well, I did find on eBay some vintage Easter egg dress-ups. You pop these papers out and wrap them around hard-boiled eggs. So you have like chickadee and a rocket ship, and all of these cute little animals have glass dome helmets to withstand the atmosphere of space or the moon, wherever they seem to be, residing. So you have the duck, the chickadee. So these are from like the 1950s or 60s. There's the mother hen. There is an orange dinosaur-looking animal, moon animal, they're calling it. There's Grandma Goose, and she's pushing a stroller of her little ducklings and little helmet thing. And then you finally have this strange green moon man.
There's the UFO.
There's a cactus at his feet, and near a crater behind him, there's a UFO. That must be his little.
Well, he better go to Weight Watchers. That's the fattest alien I've ever seen.
You got to press out that belly and
I don't know,
egg sticks through it.
Well, that guy probably needs to go on a keto diet, for God's sakes. Look at him.
With the cost of eggs, I bet less people are going to be dying eggs this year. Because I was just thinking maybe I'll die a few or get a few, but nah, I don't need to.
I'm using old golf balls this year.
Well, if you do your Easter eggs, you can always put them in this little Easter basket. This is little NASA Space Shuttle Easter basket.
Oh, cute.
Isn't that fun? All of these fun little things can be found on eBay, of course. And how about some paranormal pops to put in your Easter basket?
Ooh, for sure.
Yeah.
Aren't those fun? They're yummy flavors. They have chocolate, white chocolate, salted caramel, white chocolate mint, and many, many more. But those would be fun sticking out of a basket. So these wonderful, fun, edible gifts can be found at paranormalpops.com. And lastly, are you guys drinking enough water? Just an important reminder to fuel up. Awesome. Good deal. Water is important to our health. And why not add a little bit of fuel up with it? And it's a hydration system. So mix your favorite flavor in their cool shaker, which I love, and drink to good health. So visit fuelupgg.com/MUFON for special offers. And fuel up for life, everyone.
And if you can't get fuel up, bourbon always helps.
It does. But more fuel up than bourbon, and you'll be better off. So.
I wonder if
Speaking of bourbon, I had to laugh. Amanda, if you can put up Seth Feinstein's photograph there at the top of the show, the one that you put up at the beginning. There you go. He had me put a big X through his cocktail. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So he's like, X, no bourbon. I thought that was hilarious.
That's awesome.
That cures everything. Bourbon, as far as I know, cures everything.
It sure does.
A little Bailey's something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not that we're promoting alcohol. But
no.
Oh, I am.
Does help from. Oh, he is. He is.
Chris is promoting alcohol, so take it away, Chris. What you got for us today?
Do you want the news? I haven't done the news in a long time, so let me get to the stories. What's the news across the nation? We have got Hey, this is a serious story now. Okay. The strange story of shadowy UFO organization known as the Avery. Now, I got to tell you something. I was a little leery about this, but then I looked into this, and the names that they're talking about, I did some investigation. They actually do confer with each other, so they probably do have an organization and stuff. There have long been tales of secret shadowy societies and organizations lurking behind the scenes. The UFO field certainly also has its fair share of such secret societies sulking about in the background. And one of these allegedly top secret cabals of individuals with extremely high security clearances who have come together to gather information and evidence on UFO and aliens that could change the world forever if ever released. In the 1970s, a select elite group of individuals who were working on various aspects of UFO research and policy allegedly decided to begin to get together to gather and share information and evidence, coordinate data, and discuss various research on aliens and alien spacecraft. The dozen or so members of the secretive cabal used bird names. I wonder what my bird name would be. Bird names as code names, leading them to, no, I wouldn't be Hawk or Eagle. I'd probably end up being Chickadee. Anyways, leading them to be known as the Avery. And the list of those supposed members is a veritable who's who of top security cleared military personnel, researchers, and people deeply involved in the UFO field. Among the supposed members of the Avery are Blue Jay, who is Dr. Christopher Kit Green, former head of the CIA's UFO, Pelican, who is Ron Pandolfi, CIA Deputy Director of the Division of Science and Technology, Seagull, who is Bruce Maccabee, PhD research scientist in optical physics, and then there's also Hal Puthoff, physicist with the Institute of Advanced Research known as the OWL, John Alexander, PhD, Lieutenant Colonel of the U.S. Army, who goes by Penguin. I don't think John Alexander likes that one. But anyways, Commander C.B. Scott Jones, PhD, and former officer of the Naval Intelligence, also known as Chickadee. Hey, they got Chickadee already done. Anyways, and then we have Parrot, who is none other than the former astrophysicist and famous UFO researcher Jacques Vallée. Condor, who is Captain Bob Collins, retired U.S. Air Force Special Agent, Air Force Office of Special Investigations, Falcon, who is Sergeant Richard Dick Doty. I don't think Falcon should suit that one. Anyway, Special Agent, Air Force Office, Special Investigations. And Ernie Kallestrasse, who worked at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in the 1970s, who goes by the code name Hawk. And UFO-related specialist Dan Graff, who also is known by his colleagues as Harrier.
All the good birds are taken.
What?
All the good birds are taken.
No, you still got ostrich. Okay.
Flamingo.
Rounding out the hey, listen, I didn't make these names. I'm just reporting it. Rounding out the roster are civilian UFO researchers, contacts, and disinformation specialists like Chicken Little, Buzzard, Nightingale, and Woodpecker, who happens to be Hollywood producer Jamie Sandra. The Avery seems to be mostly interested in gathering all the top secret information, not to hide it, but to leak it to the public in a campaign disclosure. Amanda, we got a little tape on one of those guys that may be a new member, and I got to tell you, listen to what he says, because if this ain't close to disclosure, nothing is. Amanda.
Ooh.
Set up over close to the doorway.
Television viewers know astrophysicist Dr. Travis Taylor as an intrepid investigator of UFOs and the paranormal at Skinwalker Ranch and on other History Channel programs. Only a handful of people in the world knew that Taylor was leading a double life, secretly working as the chief scientist for the Pentagon's UAP task force.
But I would say, other than the people who already knew on the task force, you're the first person to figure it out, George.
As a scientific prodigy, Taylor earned advanced degrees at a young age and has spent his entire adult life working on classified projects, first for the U.S. Army, then for defense contractors. He wrote a book about how the U.S. government should prepare for alien contact, which caught the attention of Jay Stratton, a high-ranking intelligence official who's been involved with each of the Pentagon's secretive UFO investigations, including OSAP, based in Las Vegas, ATIP, its successor, and later took charge of a third effort, the UAP Task Force, even before that team was formally created by Congress.
Jay Stratton, the director of the UAP Task Force, asked me if I would be interested in being the chief scientist. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Of course I would.
took off a simple game.
One of the primary jobs of the task force was to write a report to Congress summarizing the known evidence about UFOs. The team had already created a classified briefing consisting of the most intriguing military encounters, starting with the 2004 Tic Tac incident. The task force whittled down a huge database into 144 of the very best cases. Dr. Taylor helped write the final report.
But we picked sources that we knew had a chain of custody of the data. And out of those 144, 143 of them, we still couldn't figure out what they were, where they came from, and what their intent was.
Civilian debunkers have tried to explain away the Tic Tac and gimbal UFOs as birds or reflected light or far-off jet engines, as if military investigators were oblivious to such possibilities. When the UAP task force determined objects to be genuine unknowns, it wasn't merely relying on video clips for evidence.
Here's the thing, a skeptic and a debunker, they take their results by starting from the beginning, by knowing that the result is going to be this. So they take the analysis to lead them in the direction to do that. And the data that we had, in many cases, there was more of it than what the general public has and what was released. And so when we say that we had a thing that was from multiple sensors and it told us multiple things, and we also had eyewitness accounts, audio information, and so on.
Taylor and the task force spent 3 years analyzing the 144 incidents, including dozens of bizarre objects that buzzed multiple Navy ships in 2019. Some of them were spheres that swarmed and kept pace with the warships. Others appeared to be greenish pyramids.
At time 0424 Zulu.
Task force members were stunned to hear a Navy official tell a congressional hearing last month that all of these were, quote, drones, as if the mystery had been solved. Someone had to disregard the work of the task force to make that claim.
We had a lot of sensor data on some of them that we couldn't determine what they are. I mean, if it's our near peers doing it, that's scary. But at the same time, we also never found any evidence that it was our near peers doing it.
The drone conclusion was reached after the UAP task force was done and before the new UFO program, AIMSOG, even started. So who did it? George Knapp, 8 News Now.
So let's give credit to George Knapp for doing a fantastic piece. Now,
absolutely.
Here's the thing that, before I ask for comments, here's the thing that's very important. Travis Taylor said that out of 144 reports, 143 they could not explain. But at the congressional hearing, the head of naval intelligence said, out of 144 reports, we explained 143. And there was only one they couldn't explain. So they reversed it. And Travis Taylor couldn't figure out why would they reverse such a thing. So basically, he's contradicting what they were told in Congress. And I'll tell you, that's a big thing right there when a scientist in the U.S. government says it. So, Katie, what do you think?
Well, I think there's so many things in that video clip there, and I'll be anxious to talk to Seth and Anniversary about it as well, because, they talked about picking cases that had clear chain of custody. They had multiple sensor cases, so they had radar data as well as other types of evidence and testimonials from perhaps maybe more than one witness and so on and so forth. So these are all very important aspects of really researching and investigating any case. And so, Seth is actually really doing a lot of studies into photo and video analysts. So I'll be anxious to talk to them about that and those protocols of what it takes to really investigate a case well. What do you think, Tara?
Tara, what do you think?
I agree with Katie 100%. And I'm excited, though, for the results of this. And you're saying the purpose is to leak this out. When is the information? Where is the information? I'm curious. I'd like to read all those cases for myself and see what they're talking about. So I'd like to see more.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a couple of things out of this thing. They said that triangle that buzzed the ship, they couldn't identify. However, at the congressional hearing, they said it was a drone. So now you have the scientists that are saying, hey, we studied this thing thoroughly, but the spokesperson switched it and said, it's a drone. Now, how does a drone get that close to a U.S. naval vessel that has the most sophisticated radar in the world?
Right.
And it's just there. All right.
Right.
Story number 2. Now, this one I liked. I couldn't help it, because if you got $1 million and I could talk you into giving me $1 million to get away from evil spirits, baby, I'm going to marry you. Anyway, attorney for psychic accused of fraud offers supernatural defense of the client. This is an actual trial. A Tampa jury heard about dark spells, fraud, and a fortune teller named J.C. Wasso on Tuesday. Wasso is on trial for conning a client into stealing $1 million from her wealthy older husband. Statewide prosecutor Paul Dontonville said that during opening statements that Wasso was a self-proclaimed psychic who 3 years ago convinced her client, Lynn Halflin, that the cash would ward off evil spirits and break the family spell. Folks, you just have to send me $500 and I'll ward off any spell. I'm not going to guarantee it works,
too.
but what the hell. The attorney for self-proclaimed psychic, who is on trial for fraud, offered a rather unorthodox argument in her defense by posting that she cannot be found guilty because she actually lived up to her promise to thwart the evil spirits that plagued her client. According to a local media report, the intriguing legal gambit was put forward by Glenn Lansky as part of his opening statement in a case against purported clairvoyant J.C. Wasso. Authorities in Florida contend that the fortune teller built her client, Lynn Halflin, out of a staggering $1 million after convincing her that a family curse was poised to take the life of her mother, and only the seasoned sorcerer can prevent it from happening. At the start of the trial on Tuesday, state prosecutors produced troubling texts wherein the psychic warned Halflin that darkness is going to possess you and ultimately take away your whole family. Understandably alarmed by Wasso's message, the woman followed her advice and sought out a rich soulmate in the form of Richard Rappaport. I got to find that guy, who she married and subsequently convinced under false pretenses to fund her fight against the evil spirits that had taken aim at her. When it was eventually revealed that the fortune teller and a pair of accomplices had spent the money on all manner of lavish goods, the proverbial house of cards quickly fell apart. Oh, baby.
You think?
Opening statement.
Yeah.
Lansky told the jury that Wasso's now ex-husband, Joey, and her father cashed in on the con job and used the money to buy lavish gifts, including designer items, jewelry, and an exotic car. In defending Wasso at her trial, Lansky mused that his client never physically coerced Halflin, and instead, the threats are supposedly, if you don't pay me, the evil spirits are coming. He went on to post that the psychic had actually fulfilled her end of the deal because the evil spirits never came. That's what she paid for. While it will be up to a jury to decide if the arguments hold water, Halflin herself may beg to differ as, despite seemingly having the best intentions at heart, she also wound up pleading guilty to fraud charges, lying to Rappaport about why she needed so much money. And this guy gave it to her. This results in a suspended jail sentence. Well, hey, listen, there's crazy people in the world, but what can I help? And stuff. The results in a suspended jail sentence, deportation back to her home country of Israel, and a divorce. No kidding. Which would seem to suggest that those evil spirits weren't entirely eradicated. Amanda, roll that tape.
A Tampa jury heard about dark spells, fraud, and a fortune teller named J.C. Wasso.
Lynn, the spirits want me to tell you what's going on. Your mother is going to die.
Why did you keep giving JC money?
Because I was scared.
You were scared about what?
About all the things that she used to tell me. Every time it was something different. In one time she told me that she's protecting me from being attacked.
Prosecutors say Wasso is a self-proclaimed psychic who manipulated one of her clients, Lynn Halfon, into stealing over $1 million from her wealthy husband, Richard Rappaport, in November of 2019. They say Wasso told Halfon the money would break a family curse and cure her mother of cancer.
Darkness is going to possess you. The darkness will take away your whole family.
Prosecutors told the jury Wasso ordered Halfon to cash $1 million check at an Amscott store in Tampa. But after 2 failed attempts, Wasso recruited her then husband, Joey Evans, and his father, John Evans, to do it. It worked.
If she asked me, I will do whatever she asked me.
But during a stinging cross-examination by Wasso's attorney, Glenn Lansky, Halfon conceded she lied and stole from her husband, not Wasso.
You just went along with everything she said.
I did everything she said.
And you took all the money from Richard.
Yes.
JC did not take 1 penny from Richard other than through you, correct?
Correct.
Lansky pointed out Wasso's predictions and protections came true. Her client was simply being paid for providing a service, not orchestrating an elaborate scam.
Did the evil spirits ever come and harm you?
No.
Whether we believe in fortune telling, whether we believe in psychic behavior, that's a business arrangement.
But Wasso's attorney, Glenn Lansky, says his client is taking the fall for the real crooks, her ex, Joey Evans, and his father.
My client is charged with threatening her and manipulating her. She never put a gun to her head. She never put a knife to her throat. She never said that if you don't do this, someone's going to come and kill you. Those weren't the kind of threats you heard. The threats are supposedly, if you don't pay me, the evil spirits are coming. Well, according to her own testimony and something she truly believed in, the evil spirits never came.
Well, I'm sure that's not the first time that's been tried.
Hey, listen.
Mental
it just goes to show you could sell a bridge to nowhere to somebody.
I was giggling. I was giggling because you're like, there's crazy people in the world. And I'm like, that coming from somebody with an alien sitting behind them and aliens on a chair and everything. So that was kind of funny.
Well,
it doesn't surprise me. People are pretty vulnerable right now. And there are those that are afraid of curses and things. And like I said, this has been used for a long time, witchcraft and magic and curses and spells. And so
I know, but I really blame the husband for letting $1 million go.
Oh my God!
You know, come on, let's face
it. Kind of his fault. What do you think, Tara?
Yeah, I think it has to do with mental states for sure.
Yeah.
And
right,
just be wary.
Okay.
Interesting story, Chris. That's an interesting one.
All I can say is
in court is weird.
You must have been a great wife in certain ways. All I can say.
All right, let's do a real quick case of the week. I know we're a little behind in time here, so I'll just do this one really fast here. Okay. This one is case number 12897. It occurred September 1st, 2022, out of Denton, Texas. It was a Category 1 case. It was closed as an unknown UAV. So here's what the witness had to say about this case. It says, my wife and I were driving home from the gym on Highway 380. I happened to look up in the sky and I saw 2 bright lights that didn't appear normal. They were way brighter than most airplane lights and they didn't seem to be moving. The lights also had a shimmering effect. We watched them as we were driving towards them. Both of us were saying, like, what is that? After about 3 minutes and 30 seconds of watching it, one of the lights disappeared as if it ran out of juice, like a quick fade. So at that point, I took out my phone and began to record the second light. We were stopped at a red light and there were high line wires in the view, which made it easier to tell it wasn't moving. We started driving again and watched it for about 45 seconds. And then it also faded out. As you can see, that happened on the video. Of course, we aren't sure what it was, but it didn't seem to be a plane as we have lots of those fly over us all the time, and they are usually easy to tell that they're airplanes. So the witness said that they expected to easily find an aircraft descending straight. So they checked the flight radar and flight aware, and they were not able to find any of these flights. And they even bought a gold plan, so they checked, the data way back, and still no pointed in that direction. So that's why it was closed as 2 unknown UAVs. And in this video, you can only see the one because she only grabbed the camera for the second one. And I want you to pay close attention. I cropped it way down because it was a pretty long video. But you can see it it appears to be moving, and then it'll go to where the power line is and just disappears right there towards the end. So Amanda, if you want to roll that case of the week video. What do you think? And I pulled 2 screenshots from that. So I have photo 1 where you can see the shimmering light there. And then I grabbed the second it passed that power pole and boom, it was just gone. I couldn't see any trace of it after that. It was almost as if it just vanished at that point. What do you think, Chris?
Boy, the second part that you're telling me makes me suspicious, but the first part, I think the first photo is just too fuzzy, but the second part where it just vanishes, there's no really cloud covering. There's nothing that would obstruct it. I'd have to really have that video's analyzed and take a look at it. I'm suspicious of it, but it could be the real deal.
Right, because when airplanes are coming right at you, they do appear like that, right?
Yeah.
But then the way it just vanishes, I don't know. Maybe that's something Seth can look at in the future. What do you think, Tara?
Yeah, I've seen actually an airplane do that, becoming towards me and was bright, and then it banked and completely disappeared. But it didn't seem like that light was. You could tell it was an airplane. You could tell it was moving. So I don't know.
And you got to remember too, the witnesses are moving in a car, and that always makes things hard to analyze too when they're moving and it's moving. So you have all that going on, and the fact that they're 2, maybe it's just a flight path. So, but according to the investigator, they checked the radar data. So I don't know. An interesting case. Yeah,
cool.
It is.
Speaking of that, yeah. Oh, I thought you had a comment. Okay. Speaking of that.
Go ahead.
Time to bring in Seth and anniversary. So let me read their bio really quick. So Seth H. and Anniversary A. Feinstein are husband and wife, UFO experiencer partners, living the dream every day. Seth's current timeline, MUFON. He is MUFON Assistant State Director for Colorado and does an amazing job, might I add. I don't know what I'd do without him. And he's also the Assistant State Director for North Dakota. He is a case management system coordinator, which we'll let them explain to us what that is. He is a field investigator, star investigator, and case assistance group investigator, and also a photo and video analyst. Previous timeline, he was Antikarana Corps member. We'll also ask about that. Also was a member of the Denver UFO Society board member, up close and personal experiencer, over 30 years of UFO conference attendance. Anniversary's current timeline is she is the state director for South Dakota. She is an FI, a STAR Team FI, a case assistance group for the United States and international, case management system coordinator. And her other timeline, she was a Denver UFO Society board member, medical-based contact experiencer, and other contacts over 30 years of UFO conference attendance. Please welcome to the show, my good friend Seth and Anniversary. Hi, guys. How are you?
Hello there.
Hi. Good. Can you hear us okay?
We're good.
Good. I want to start out by... Okay. I wanted to start out, first of all, with your opinions on that Case of the Week video.
Well, I do photo forensics.
Right.
And so, immediately my mind clicks, what could it possibly be? And the first thing I noticed was the moisture on the window. So there was the lens, camera lens, and then there's the window with moisture on the window. The second thing I noticed was there was a red U coming at the bottom there. That tells me it's probably sunset. Could be sunrise or sunset. And when in sunrise and sunset, that is a time of the day where there is often a lot of lens flare. Okay. Now, lens flare can occur by either objects in the actual shot or outside of the shot from a bright light that causes it. And a lot of time, the bright light is the descending or a rising sun. So what I would want to do in analyzing this photograph is take a look at Google Earth and maybe even at this time of day or whatever, and see where the sun was in reflection to this picture to determine if it really was.
I'm impressed with your that you observed all that so quickly.
Me
Things
too.
that like that's pretty good, Seth.
Yeah.
I like that. So
Yeah,
and the
actually,
other
as a non-official investigator for photo forensics of MUFON, I've done what?
Don't go there.
Okay. I've done over.
Anniversary, you should never have said that.
And it begins.
Yeah, that's funny.
Can I get in one thing? I got to say one thing to Chris.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because this is going to make this a little weird. But I have had contact experience.
What's that?
Okay, I have had contact experiences, and there is a symbol or a sign that I'm being watched or somebody wants to talk to me. And whenever, and Chris gave the trigger word for me to know that was happening. And the trigger word is when people call me, yes, he called me Seth. The ETs call me Seth. They don't call me Seth.
Maybe I'm an alien.
So whenever
I can't pronounce that.
Oh, really?
What's up?
With somebody you don't know you're communicating with.
Or your
I
channeling.
knew the ETs watched this show. They love this show.
Hey, I need 20 pounds off. Come on. God, I wonder if do they do liposuction?
No, so it's true. Whenever anybody calls me by that name, Seth, instead of Seth, it kind of sends a little fear through me.
Oh, no.
It really does.
Oh, wow. Well, I'll be calling you
That's
Seth
why.
all through the show because I can't say anything else. Maybe the aliens got speech impediments too. Because maybe they say NASA. Hey, we're going down to NASA.
I haven't met an alien who says a word. They all telepathically communicate.
I wanted to ask you guys what that anacarata, am I saying that right? Is that you were a member of?
It was, back in the end of the Mayan calendar and all that kind of stuff. We had a group of people called Anacarana, and it was called, the subtitle was Starseed Connection. Okay, so it was a group all about the connection between human beings and extraterrestrials. And it was pretty popular. We had weekly meetings and we had conferences at DU in Denver. And it was about the time that Shirley MacLaine was doing her road trip all over with her seminars.
That's kind of a segue into perhaps maybe what do you guys think of that? I mean, do you think that there are humans that are incarnated on this planet that do come from other star systems and are here to maybe conduct or on some sort of path to help humanity awaken or, those kind of philosophies? What do you think of that?
I agree. I think that's true. I can only speak for myself. And I started thinking about UFOs and extraterrestrials in 1981. And the reason why I thought about it is because I had a conscious contact experience. When I had that experience, I had just given birth to my last child. He was a few months old. And and when they came, I said, "Not now, it's not a good time," which in turn indicated to me that I had had previous experiences, that I knew them, and I had no conscious memory of that. I believe that certain people, and I think it has to do with DNA or lineage, because it normally runs in families. That's the experience that I have.
Why do you say that, Anniversary? Why do you think they run
The
through families?
reason why I'll tell you why. Because in my own family, I have 2 sisters who consciously remember having had contact. One of them, her interactions were very negative. She had scoop marks taken out of her, which is physical evidence.
Yep.
The other sister had a twin taken in the 2nd trimester, and she had an ultrasound of 2 babies, head to foot. And she was married to a military man at the time. And so she was seeing military doctors. And she went to a checkup after she'd already been told that she was going to have twins. It was a different doctor. And after the exam, he looked at her and said, "You have 1 healthy baby." And she got very upset. And she said, "What do you mean, 1 baby?" And he said, "What do you mean? Yeah, I told you you have a healthy baby." And she said, I have twins. And he just turned around and walked out. And then the family grieved the loss of the 2nd baby. Now, also, to talk about generational stuff, my mother, 2 months before she died, I hadn't been in contact with her for a long time. And I called her because I heard she was dying of pancreatic cancer. And when I was talking with her, I was trying to catch her up on different things that had happened to me in my life. And I started to tell her about the being that I encountered when I was living in Izmir, Turkey. And she said to me, "You don't need to tell me what he looks like. I know what he looks like." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, he looks like a little child. He's very slender, big head, big dark eyes. And I said, "How do you know?" And she said, "Because they take me all the time. They've always taken me for years and years." And she said, "And they're very scary." Now, my experience was not scary for me, at least what I remember consciously. And so I said, "Why do you think they're scary?" And she said, "Because they can pop in and out of dimensions and they can take you with them." Now, I had not known up until that point in time that my mother had ever had contact. She never talked about it. And she told me the reason why she didn't talk about it was because they would take her breath away. Anytime she tried to discuss it, she would get all choked up. She couldn't breathe. And then she wondered why they had let her talk to me and wanted me to find out.
Why?
Which I have no idea. I don't know. But I also have children who have had experiences where they've awakened in a place other than where they went to sleep, where they've had people visit them who camouflage themselves as me. And my oldest son is an example. I went down to talk to him in his bedroom, and I knocked on the door because the door was locked. And he said, "Come on in, Mom." And I said, "The door is locked." He said, "It can't be. You were just in here." Okay, which I was not. I also have grandchildren. The oldest granddaughter, who has talked to me about flying monkeys and that they came to visit her. And they came in through the window. She said they came from there because I asked her, "Where did they come from?" And she pointed out the window into the sky. And she said, "But Grandma," she says, "I told them I wouldn't go with them unless they were nice." Now, that to me indicates generational. Okay. So
Yeah.
I can't, speak for other people. Plus,
Right.
I was a military brat. And
okay, but I want to stop you right there, Anniversary, for a second, because
sure.
I want to go down that rabbit
Sure.
hole, because one of the things you mentioned
All right.
was your sister was married to a military person, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
And she
Yes.
was going to have twins. Now, one of the things
Yes.
that I've noticed lately with experiencers is that when they do go through hypnoregression, or they do remember things, not all of them, but a lot of them are starting to remember military people. So let's go down that rabbit hole. Do you think
Okay, let's go down.
Do you think the military is working with aliens, or do you think this is a military project?
I think there's some type of a military connection. And I think that military connection has something to do with the documentation that the military sign. Because when they go into the military, they become government property. And so do their families. And I think that I have a vague memory of going to some hangar on a base and my younger sister, who had had very negative experiences, she also has that memory of this hangar, and we have no idea what we were doing there. I also have very few memories from when I was very young. I think my first memories are from when I was around maybe 9 years old. And I can't explain why I don't have memories before then. But okay. I do believe there is a military connection. Now, I don't know about the MyLab, but my daughter did have a lucid dream, as far as what she remembers, where she was aboard a craft and she was sitting in a chair, and there were beings, tall beings around her that had all types of lesions on their skin. Yeah, she was very
the aliens had lesions
because it was
the aliens had lesions
all types
on their
of bumpy lesions on their skin, and they were very unusual looking. They were not human, but along with them, standing in this area where she was sitting in this chair, there was also military. And she said that the inside of the ship was so large that she felt like she was outdoors.
Let me bring Seth into this conversation. Seth, I want to ask you the same question about the military. Do you think the military is involved with some kind of devious thing? Let's go down that rabbit hole a little bit.
Well, that's really not my area of expertise, and I really can't answer that. I have no knowledge. There's a lot of things I know, and a lot of things
I give you kudos because you're honest as the day is long. If you don't know, you don't know. And stuff.
Thank you.
But
I don't know.
I have the military connection, and I can tell you that because a lot of the people in my family, those that can remember, have had contact. They're all very healthy. They're, I think, exceptional people. And even with all the conferences that we have, go ahead.
Let me jump in here real quick.
Attended over the years.
We have about 3 minutes until our break, but you are a member of the ERT, which is the Experiencer Resource Team. And, in the little bit I've talked to abductees and contactees, I've noticed this military connection as well. Oftentimes it's Navy or Air Force. Ironically, sometimes you'll get Army in there, but I very rarely hear Marines. I don't know why. But do you see that within the ERT?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot that aren't. they're generational, but I'm not hearing necessarily about military across the board.
Well, when we joined MUFON, we had observed MUFON for years and years and years, and had when we joined MUFON, the reason I joined MUFON was I wanted to be in ERT, and we were told that we had to have at least a year of an investigation background before we could be ERTs. And then I did the year of investigation, and I said, I don't want to do ERT. My aspirations are elsewhere.
Yeah.
So, within MUFON itself, you can choose your own career path, and Anniversary is really into helping with the ERT. So,
yeah, that's a good point, Seth, with only a minute left to break. I mean, you guys reside here and I know Seth and Anniversary are coming in a little fuzzy, but you sound okay. But I'm looking out the doors here and the snow is coming down hard. It's like snowing a lot up here in the Rocky Mountains. And
there's no
snow where you are right now?
None.
And we're only 20 minutes away from each other. That's amazing. Yep, anyway, what I was going to say is if you're out there and you're interested in MUFON, you can find your local chapters and those who you can contact on their website. So you go to that MUFON, find a chapter, and it lists each state individually, and you can look who the state director is, the assistant state director, and there is contact information in there. And Seth brought up an excellent point. There's so many paths you can take and interests you can have within MUFON. But we are at break time, and we will be back with Seth and Anniversary, and we will see you in a few minutes.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
MUFON is the voice of thousands of like-minded people who want to see change. We speak up against UFO secrecy. We engage governments and agencies around the world on the topic. We share information with the public through our journal, website, newsletter, social media, and even our own TV channel. When you join MUFON, you add your voice to the cause. Few things are more important in our time than understanding the UFO question. Join MUFON. Find your friends.
Did you know 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated? If you struggle with focus, run low on energy, or when it's time to finally sleep, you simply can't, this can all be linked to dehydration, and Fuel Up has the answer. Our proprietary formula contains the finest cellular hydration with the strongest immune-enhancing natural ingredients. The Fuel Up system is made up of 3 different incredibly tasting varieties. Wake kickstarts your day with a jolt of caffeine. Play boosts focus while hydrating your cells. Rest not only helps you relax, but also rejuvenates your cells while you sleep. Here's what our clients have to say.
I really don't miss my coffee, and you can tell the difference.
So I'm going to take it for the energy. I'm going to take it for the play. I'm going to take it, all day.
And it works. That's the thing. It works. We love it.
Take the Fuel Up Challenge now, where we offer a Feel the Difference money-back guarantee. Fuel Up for life.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts. guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected. Only at kgradb.com.
All right. So, Seth, I want to kind of come back. We heard a bit about anniversary, and we'll get back to anniversary because I know you've had more experiences than those that you talked about already. But, Seth, what got you interested in ufology in general?
Okay. Well, when I was 15, I grew up in Long Island, New York, the North Shore of Long Island. And 3 friends and myself went to the local park. It was called Bertrick Park in Syosset, New York. And it was night, and we laid down on the grass, and we were looking up at the stars. And all of a sudden, drifting in from the park from the north, right over our heads, probably 30, 40 feet above our heads, came in a UFO, a completely silent object with the clock.
Love it.
Those aliens again.
The Las Vegas musical clock. Anyway. So we were looking up at the sky, and it drifted in right above the treetops and the rooftops and came right over us in the park. And probably sat there for about 60 seconds or so, and then it just drifted out. And it looked like, it kind of looked like a Goodyear blimp where it had lights all around it, colorful lights swirling all around it and stuff. But it wasn't a blimp. It was circular, and the main color light was yellow-orange, I believe. I remember that. And it flew over us, and we were just kids, and we're going, oh, wow, this is so cool, man. Oh, this is amazing. Just sitting there like young idiots. And I went home and watched the news and kept changing all the channels. And back then they only had, in New York, they had 2, 4, 7, 9, and 13. But I went to all the news stations and I go, what's going on? How come nobody put this on the news? I don't get it. Mm-hmm. I don't get it. Anyway, so that was my first introduction to something out there is here. And then I had 2 other experiences that were physical experiences, which were up close and personal. And then I've also had 2 physical experiences of the paranormal. One was in a place called the Crags in Colorado Springs, Manitou area. We spent the night we saw an ad in the paper for a ghost hunting tour group. All the ghost hunting groups in the area were taking over this hospital for tuberculosis. They took over this one building of the hospital that was supposed to be haunted. And we decided, hey, we want to go to this. So we registered for it, and we saw ghosts all over the place all night. It was really quite an amazing experience. And then, so I've had, And then we went to Hawaii, to the island of Oahu, and we had some paranormal experiences there physically, where we took the ghost tour, the real ghost tour late at night. And the guy running the ghost tour was a kahuna. He said he was a kahuna, but we later checked him out with a member of our Colorado MUFON team who happens to be a Hawaiian lawyer from Oahu. And we asked about him, and he said, yep, he is a kahuna. We know him. And I had taken photographs.
Explain what a kahuna is. Yeah.
Kahuna is like a medicine man for the Hawaiian natives.
Yes.
He's a spiritual leader, a medicine man. And
Wow.
what happened there was we were at the burial ground. King Kamehameha united the Hawaiian Islands by torturing and killing all of his warrior adversaries.
And their families,
And their families. He threw them off the palais and broke all their bones before he threw them off. And then he took their bodies and threw them in a pile. Okay. And the mound that we were at night with the Kahuna leading the group was the burial mound. And it was probably 40 feet tall and maybe 120 feet. And it was filled with the bones of all the adversary warriors and their families that he threw off the palais. That's how he united Hawaii. Pretty brutal story. But anyway,
dreams tonight,
pictures.
I'll have some great dreams tonight. You certainly implanted that into my mind. I'd rather go see a freaking alien than listen to that story again.
Oh my God.
Yeah, okay. So when I start screaming tonight, it's the Kahuna coming after me, for God's sake.
Hopefully not. Well, that kind of does bring up a good point, Chris. And so Seth and Anniversary, this is for both of you. And it's something we kind of ask a lot of our guests, but it's about this threat narrative that's going on between what's going on. The military has this threat, these UFOs are a danger and they've got to protect us. But what about people like you who've had experiences, both of you guys? And, it seems like the biggest threat is your abductions, the experiences that are going on with you. And what do you guys think of this threat and just kind of this whole narrative that's going on?
I subscribe to the Daryl Sims thought process on this, and his thought process is based on, is somebody a experiencer, a contactee, or an abductee? And I think in most of the cases, at least 90% of the cases, the experiencer themselves really does not have the choice of what they're doing there. The narrative is all created by the ones making the contact. So a contactee is someone who agrees with or goes along with the narrative. And an abductee is someone who does not agree to go along with the narrative. As far as the bigger picture goes, I think there are higher alien extraterrestrial beings that are part of some kind of intergalactic council, which us humans are not really a part of. And there are very few contacts with these people because it's kind of like the Star Trek directive where it's hands off, don't interfere with the growth of civilization.
Anniversary, I
My
have a
answer
question.
to that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Please.
Well, my answer to that is that I believe that otherworldly beings, interdimensionals, whatever you want to call them, that they've been around on the earth as long as we have, probably longer. If there was harm that was going to come to us by the groups that have been here from the beginning, we wouldn't be here. And I think that there are other groups that come through periodically, and some of them are not interested in us at all. Others are curious about us, so they like to observe us. There may, some use us for hybridization and this can go either way. I want to say this because I always hear, well, they're trying to save their species. Okay. Now, that may be true. However, what if they're trying to save us? What if they're manipulating our DNA in order to help us to evolve to a point where we are not as violent, we're not as self-destructive,
and we're not doing a good
maybe,
job. Right.
Well, maybe, okay. Well, maybe they see us as their children, some of them, and if they do, then, I mean, I'm a parent. I can't speak for everybody, but I would do my best to never give up on my children. And so I've known people who have been taken aboard craft. A woman in Laughlin who was taken aboard a craft. She had stage 4 cancer, and she'd been given a certain amount of time before the doctor said she was going to be gone. And she was taken aboard a craft, and they cured her stage 4 cancer. When I was in Turkey, the conscious contact that I had, I was told that I had something removed from the base of my skull. And if it had not been removed, I would have died a young woman. So it's obviously not all bad. But I think when you have an experience and it's outside of your reality envelope, something that you have never been taught would ever happen to you, your first physiological, psychological reaction would be one of fear. And you would probably have to encounter it a number of times before the fear would subside. That's my input on it.
Incredible.
Here's a question for both of you I'd like to ask. First of all, I want to stay on this topic a little bit because I got a question here. Why do you think one sister had such a bad experience and the other didn't? I mean, your mom was scared too, but why the difference? Was it just different species, you think? Or, I mean,
Yes.
Just weird.
Yes. I think that and that part kind of bothered me for a while because I thought if it's generational and you're dealing with one particular family, surely you would be dealing with the same groups of otherworldly beings, okay? A certain category. But just like people are different, otherworldly beings are different too. And maybe, this was the one sister, the one that had all the horrible experiences. I love her, but I got to tell you, when she was real little, she would pinch the hell out of me and then start acting like I had been her. And then she'd look at my father and she'd grab her arm and I'd get the shit kicked out of me. Excuse my English. Oh. But I'm just saying that, quite frankly, beep.
You didn't have to put an implanted thought into one of the aliens to go harass your sister, did you?
So
come on, you're hesitating.
I do not know why we attract what we attract, but I do think because of the different experiences like the hybridization program that my one sister was involved in, that because of the differences, that I think we're dealing with different groups. And I only know that from my own experiences.
And Seth, let me and both of you answer this, but I got to ask this question after you put the kahuna thought in my mind.
Get to the paranormal.
All I can see is I'm going to see a big Hawaiian ghost with a grass skirt on or something like that in my bedroom tonight. So thank you for that.
Aloha.
Anyways, one of the things that was told to me by a highly regarded field investigator, I think is very sharp, very good. He thinks the idea that sometimes some of these ghosts that we see are actually aliens using a screen memory or deception. Now, because you said there were monkeys coming in the room, we know that children have seen pirates, have seen rabbits, have seen deers, everything else. So why not take a ghost of a family member and come as that to make you easier? What do you think of that?
Well, we've had a personal experience ourselves where we were driving in the car and we were facing an empty field and we saw a 4-foot owl standing in the field.
Wow. Well, actually, it was in the car.
Yeah, in front of the car.
A 4-foot what?
Our headlights on.
Owl.
4-foot
an owl.
Owl.
Was standing looking at us in the field. And
Like Mike Clellan, he talks about the owls.
So they can project images of things we're comfortable with and wouldn't be outraged or frightened by seeing.
Well, and I think it's important to pay attention to your reactions to things or things that happen in your life, because when I had my experience in Turkey prior to that point in time, I was owl crazy. I mean, I would collect any kind of owls you could think of, whether they were on plates or they were figurines, or I was collecting owls so much that my Turkish friends got me a stuffed owl because they knew that I was collecting owls. Now, where did that come from?
Well, you're right, Anniversary, because people have told me after their experience, they either become afraid of aliens, they'll sleep against the wall, they can't sleep at night, they lock their bedroom door, or they become so obsessed with alien figures, they have them all over the place. So, I mean, it does change. It absolutely does change your mind thoughts.
Yeah. And you know what else happens too? People who have...
Did I hit a nerve with somebody else? I don't know. Go ahead.
Maybe, I think you did.
Yeah. So what also happens to people who have experiences is their level of functionality as a human being decreases for a number of years.
Do you think so?
Yeah, they go into like PTSD.
I thought you increased.
Well, you could get PTSD.
PTSD.
Well, if you have alien abduction and your sense decreases, I must have been taken about 1 million times because I'm sinking like the Titanic. So I mean, geez, that really puts a real good thought in my head too. Thank you guys for being on the show tonight.
See,
so Seth and Anniversary, I kind of want to ask you about human perception and how that plays into this phenomenon, what you think of just human perception in general, different ages when people are taking, because oftentimes you hear, it starts out as a fearful event and then it kind of turns into a spiritual event for so many. And can you talk about human perception and the role that plays?
Interesting.
I think that every once in a while, you've got an individual that's in the right place at the wrong time, like Travis Walton. And I think for the most part, that there are a lot of people that are being taken that have no memory, and they start being taken from an early age. I would say normally between the years 3 and 5, they actually start having some type of a connection.
Well, I think, so what you're really asking is really what is the purpose of people having a connection or encounters with extraterrestrials or interterrestrials, whatever you call them. A long time ago, I thought that the purpose of a contact experience was what actually occurred to the individual and what changed as a result of the contact. And I tried to do a master's thesis on this, and I couldn't complete it because there wasn't any data of what actually occurred. It's all screen memory. It's, retrieved through hypnosis. It's, you could tell what changed from it, but, what actually occurred, it's really difficult to describe what if a person's intention is in any way is influencing having contacts or not.
I've had people talk to me about the story about what was it, some type of a tropical island and a ship docks out in the water and the natives don't see the ship because they've never seen one before, even though it's there. Our eyes see 10% of what's actually in front of us. The other 90% our mind filters out. So our belief system has a lot to do with it. Maybe people that are having contact can see into other dimensions too, because there have been groups that have been together where some people saw something and others didn't see anything at all.
Interesting.
It's not a mundane reality.
There's also the philosophy, that anybody could have contact if they want contact.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have to want it first. How does that work?
How does that?
Well,
how does that work?
I didn't hear.
How is that? Is that what you said?
How does that work?
Well,
I can tell you how it works.
Okay, go ahead.
I will share an experience that we had. We had an
Thank you.
experience in McGuire's Ranch up in Wyoming. And what happens normally with people that have contact is our rational mind tries to make our experiences a dream. And so we question our sanity. We question whether what happened really happened. And so we went out to McGuire's Ranch, which is owned by the University of Wyoming in Laramie. And we were allowed to go out there during a time when Leo Sprinkle, God rest his soul, he used to have conferences for contactees up in Wyoming. And so we went out to this ranch to call in UFOs. And there were lots and lots of people. And we had a big van at the time. And we decided, there were 4 of us, my husband and I, and 2 other good friends.
Janet and Bruce.
Yeah, Janet and Bruce. We'll just say Janet and Bruce. And so we had other people asking us if they could come in our van with us out to McGuire's Ranch. And we turned them all away because we believed that if the number of people involved were too many, that they wouldn't show, because you might have somebody in the group that had a lot of fear, that possibly might have some type of harm because of a sighting or contact. And so we went to McGuire's Ranch. We went beyond where everybody else was parked. We went over a little hill into a little valley with a hill on the other side. And we got out of the van, we held hands, we visually envisioned a night glow white light anchored to the center of the earth, spiraling up into the cosmos as a beacon. And we said, basically, here we are. And we were holding hands and we set our intention. And our intention was, once and for all, we wanted absolutely definitive proof, totally conscious evidence that the experiences that we were having were real. And then we just joined hands and we waited. Well, there were all kinds of other cars because it was starting to get dark that were milling around so we could see headlights here and there. Well, on the other side of the hill that we had come over to come into this little valley was a corona of light that we could see above the hill. And we're, getting irritated because there's a car sitting there and we wanted to either go on by and park somewhere or back up and park, because it was distracting. Well, Seth said, well, maybe somebody's having car trouble. So I'm going to climb up on top of the van and I'm going to look and I'm going to see if there's somebody having an issue over there. So he climbs up on top of the van and he starts yelling, get in the van, get in the van. And we said, what's happening? And he said, just get in the van. So we got in the van and he got in behind, in the driver's seat, turned the engine over, didn't turn on the lights. And he was in the driver's seat. Bruce was sitting next to him. Janet was sitting behind Seth. And I was sitting on the back bench. And we started back up the road that we had come down. Now, keep in mind that we had asked for totally conscious proof that the experiences that we were having were real.
Yeah, experiences in dream state.
Everything.
All that
we
kind of
wanted
stuff.
to know, give us something totally conscious to tell us this is real. So as we crest the hill, on the road in front of us was this big night glow white light. It was big enough to fit the van. And what was really peculiar about it was it looked like a big pot of frothy, boiling water, because something in the field of that circle on the ground was affecting gravity, and the dirt and the rocks were jumping.
It looked like a boiling pot of water, but instead of water, it was the dirt and the rocks on the ground.
Right. Now, I went flying off the bench, and Seth, of course, started saying stuff like, well, if we drive into the light, maybe they'll take us out, they'll answer our questions, and they'll bring us back.
Well, what happened?
But the scenario kept getting worse.
Let me interject here.
Yeah.
So the actual size of the boiling frock of dirt was it was big enough to take up the car.
Yeah, to fit the van.
And the floor was illuminated with white light, but there was no light in the sky.
Oh, there was no light coming down to it.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
Nothing coming down.
And so what I needed to buy time to figure this out, what to do. And everybody was kind of not helping me discuss it.
We were just staring at the light, and he flipped the vehicle into reverse.
And the light came.
As he started moving back, the light was pacing the vehicle.
Right.
And it was moving as slow as like a man walking.
Wow.
It wasn't going fast at all.
It moved our speed. It was interacting with us. It moved our speed. And when I stopped, it stopped. And then I went forward a little bit and it moved the other way. And then I went back and I'm trying to think things out. What do we want to do? They're trying to pick us up here. You know, do we want to do this?
But he thought about our children who were in high school at the time, back in Aurora, Colorado. And he said, well, the worst that can happen is we'd end up dead. And then he said,
you think?
And then he
Well,
said,
yeah, you think about
and
that.
then he said, I mean, he's talking, all his thoughts are coming out of his
I'm
mouth.
going, this is like, Fiddler on the Roof, tell you on one hand this, on the other hand that, on the other hand this.
But anyway, as soon as he said, we cannot do this, the light gone. It just disappeared. And then Bruce went nuts and started screaming at Seth because he wanted him to drive into the light because he wanted to get his hands on those little blankety blanks. And I told Bruce, you got to be fair. I said, you could have opened the door at any time and gotten out and run into that light. We weren't going fast.
Yeah, so for the next year, every couple of months, Bruce would call me and tell me he forgave me for not driving into the light. And then he actually committed suicide.
He committed suicide. He was a lovely human being, and he
so sorry.
He was part of the hybridization program, and he couldn't deal with the violation that he was feeling. He just couldn't deal with it.
And years later, I'm really thankful that I didn't drive into it because I know I didn't think of it then, but how angry he was and how he wanted to beat these guys up.
He would have had a hold of him.
I mean, we could have had a real nightmare experience
we could
based on his anger.
But the bottom line is we asked for something, they heard us, we were all of like mind, and they gave us what we asked for. And after that, we left the ranch.
That's amazing.
And no one else on the other side, no one on the other side of the hill saw anything. So I don't see that in itself as being negative because the light actually, they could have just beamed on us.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have been gone. If it was going to be a negative experience, we would have had no choice.
Right.
But we were given a choice.
Well, I have a question about contacts. Some of the experiences, maybe, I'm wondering if you've talked to anybody who've had contact and have had implants. And, that is something that is tangible and can be documented to some degree. Who knows how some of them get there, but what are your thoughts about that? And Ken, what type of research? I know there's another gentleman, I believe it's Daryl Sims, I think, I could correct me if I'm wrong, but who does research on that type of stuff as well. But, what do you guys think about that? And have you done any research on that? And do you think you guys have any implants?
Well, back in the day, when these things were happening to us, we both had an eye exam with a dot behind our eyeballs, and the dot, they couldn't explain what it was or whatever, and we think that might have been an implant. It went away after.
Well, the reason why I think so is because I had a regression session with Yvonne Smith, and in the regression, she told me what came forward was the fact that my eye was popped out, and they had placed something on the back of my eye, and then they had put my eye back in. And it was explained to me that they were observing other human beings through me. And I had gone to the optometrist before that, and he did see something on the back of my eye, and he didn't know what the heck it was. And he said, we're just going to have to watch it because I don't really know. We'll just have to see if it grows or what happens. At this point, we're not going to do anything. And the next time I went to the optometrist, it was gone. Wow. So I don't know, I don't know.
Guys,
implants are definitely real.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta ask you a question because you brought up stuff that I'd like to go down that rabbit hole with and stuff. Do you think the hybrid children,
Easter rabbit holes?
Yeah,
Easter.
It's just my nature. What the hell? Anyways, the hybridization program. I'm hearing that sometimes the children there's these children called star children. They believe that they have come from other planets, and they believe they're part of a hybridization program or reincarnated or whatever. But some of them, not all of them, but some of them get a tendency of violence. And I started studying some of that. And you brought that up where, there may be a link to, do you think there's some link to some of maybe this possibility that some of the hybridization program or whatever, but some of these people who think they have a gene or something that may cause them to be violent?
Is that like black-eyed children, Chris?
Black-eyed children are in that, but I've heard that some of the hybridization children have a tendency to go violent as they get older. I can't really find a lot of data on it. But these two people are pretty sharp, and I'm just wondering if they have maybe researched something like that.
I've never heard that, but let's say our military has technologies that they're implanting in people, and that they're controlling those people and fulfilling certain agendas with those people. I don't think it's necessarily always non-human intelligences that are involved in some of the violence. Because when you look at human beings in general right now, look at what's happening in our world.
There's
a lot of crazy stuff happening right now.
Yeah.
And so humans can be pretty darn violent without any kind of intervention at all. And if they've got mental health issues, something can happen to trigger that. Or like I said, maybe they've been implanted, because these implants can be like tracking devices. They can be to control certain things or suppress certain things. They can be to help with health issues. There can be all kinds of things that these implants can do.
Yeah, I think the only way you can find data on that particular subject is by doing psychological testing to people who think they're part of the hybrid program and see where they were.
One of the things that Katie brought up. One of the things that Katie brought up were the star children, or the black-eyed children, and that is one of the things that people have always said they've had terribly negative encounters with the black-eyed children who they believe are alien hybrid children.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on that?
Okay.
Well, look at the Men in Black. I mean, I think they may not be human.
Yeah.
They may not be human.
So Seth, on that line, I have a question for you. And you mentioned that the word Seth was a trigger for you, or a keyword for you that was possibly implanted by the ET beings.
Yeah,
which
you're
would
not saying it right, Katie.
Zeth.
Zeth. There you go. Say the Z.
Zeth. But I guess that implies that is some sort of a program, as if people are giving triggers or something that will set them in motion or awaken them to something, or that they're supposed to do or say or be. Do you think that is the case with you, Seth? And what would that be? Like, do you know what I'm trying to ask? You hear the word Seth and that triggers something into you. Yeah. What do you think that purpose is?
Gosh. Mm-hmm. Well, I until now, I have done very well at avoiding talk about my my deeply disturbing experience, and which was another experience we had in Wyoming. It was again with the same 4 people. I believe the incident with the bubbling ground and the light on the ground was the second incident we had. We had a previous incident where the 4 of us went into McGuire Ranch, and McGuire Ranch is an area of very high strangeness, and it was owned by a rancher named McGuire who couldn't water his cattle, couldn't find water to water his cattle. And the story goes was the extraterrestrials came down and showed him where to put in a well, and it worked. And
they helped him.
Yeah, they helped him. So it's owned by the University of Wyoming. It's an extension for the agricultural department. And since this event took place that I'm about to talk about, I never went back. I was fearful to go back. But I really have the belief system that if I go back, I could have contact again, and even and possibly even go away with them. So the 4 of us again went to have a physical contact, knowing that all the things that happened in dreams while we were sleeping, all that was real. Was we were going to have a physical contact, and we. Went to a field on the ranch, and there was a guy there with a white pickup truck. This guy's skin was much like the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz, and he was only about 4 feet tall. He was a human. Wow. And he had a little white Datsun pickup truck, and he said, "What are you guys doing here?" What, like confrontational, like we shouldn't be here. And we said, "Well, we're here to have extraterrestrial contact." And he said, wait here. And he took his truck and he drove around, and he probably was about a half a mile away from us. And we see him signaling with his headlights of his car.
Flashing,
yeah. Yeah, flashing.
Into the field.
And we're going, "Oh, okay, whatever," And then he comes back. Okay, he comes back. And he gets out of the car and he starts talking to us, and none of us had mentioned our names or introduced ourselves or whatever. He starts showing his scoop marks in his...
Oh, he got real close to me. He wanted to show me everything.
Yeah, he was showing her
I
scoop
almost
marks,
felt,
everything.
connected to him. It was really weird.
Yeah.
Like he was a relative or something. I felt really connected.
Yeah. So what happened immediately following was all of a sudden, I would say 5 or 6 or 7 crafts were in the field. They were egg-shaped orange crafts.
Jumping around.
And they were in the field like, hopscotching. They didn't stop in one place. And all around us in the field, we were surrounded and within these egg-shaped orange crafts. And I said, wait a minute. I said, does anybody know who they are? And he goes, sure, they're the Greys. And I said, I had a belief system back then that, humanoids were good contacts and Greys were going to cut you up, so I became fearful. And I said, does anybody here, this guy is answering the questions. I said, does anybody here know who they are and what they're doing here? And he says to me, yeah, anybody here by the name of Seth?
Seth just started shaking.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he pulled his hood up.
I said to him, before I started shaking, I said to him, no, there's nobody here by the name of Seth. My name is Seth, And,
he mentioned God's name.
And anyway, so I became paralyzed in fear. I really did. And, what happened, I don't remember how they went away or where they went or how that worked because I was really in shock. I was in shock. Mm-hmm. And because they knew who I was and they were Greys, and that scared me. So what happened was later we met with a female medicine woman for the Lakota Sioux tribe. And we were telling her about the experience. And she said, wait, it wasn't a white truck. It was a silver truck, right? She said, well, we told her about the experience. She goes, oh, the guy had a silver truck. Was his name Chris? Yeah, that was his name. His name was Chris. Christoph. And she said, did he keep talking about his brother being killed by the Secret Service, being blown up with dynamite? We go, yeah, that's what he kept talking about. She goes, well, this guy, Christoph, he trains the Lakota Sioux medicine people or Native American medicine people. He's an inner earth guardian.
Wow.
And he takes the medicine people trainees or people training for that into the inner earth, and he teaches them what they need to know about that as part of their training to become.
That's so interesting because out in that area, and you had mentioned the dear Dr. Leo Sprinkle, and you guys, both of you, Seth and Anniversary, have attended these conferences now for decades, right? Back there in Laramie and Wyoming and whatnot. 30 years. Yeah, and David Pilates just recently came out with that film, the UFO Missing 411, the UFO Connection, and in it he talks about northern Colorado in the Cheyenne Laramie area, and he talks about these aquifers that are running underground under there. And of course, we know Francis Warren Air Force Base is there in Cheyenne, and there's a fantastic multi-witness military sighting out there. And, the McGuire Ranch is well known out there as well. Do you think those aquifers underground do they run by the McGuire Ranch? And what is it about that particular area, just like Skinwalker Ranch and the Elbert County Ranch and these areas that could be causing this high strangeness activity in your close encounters? And by the way, Seth, thank you so much for sharing that. I've known you a long time, and I don't even know if you've shared that with me. So for you to share that with all of us, I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, usually before I share my experiences, I like to create credibility as a human being. And,
right. Well,
but
you're amongst friends.
Anyone really over the years. So
and that's where he and I differ, because I really don't care. I don't, I share, and people either or they don't, and I don't care whether they believe me or they don't believe me. I just speak my truth.
Yeah, but I like you guys so much, and I support your show, and I love the KGRA people. You know, what better place than to confess here?
Wow. There you folks, you had it first. The confession of Seth Feinstein.
Love
Seth.
it.
So no, but
Seth.
back to the aquifers. What do you think about those areas? To kind of answer the question here, what do you think it's
I think
special
water
about
is a conduit for paranormal and spiritual events.
It is for me.
So, and for communication too.
So
do you think they use that water for not only communication or stuff, but do you think they use it for fuel? There's a theory that a lot of UFOs are seen going into the water, coming out of the water, being around water all the time. And a chief field investigator down in Florida, I've had several talks with him, and he honestly believes that they can separate hydrogen from the water to make it into helium-4, which can produce electromagnetic fusion and plasma. So, I mean, is that something that you've heard of, guys, or what?
I haven't really, I haven't really heard of that. Again, that would not be within my area of expertise. And
Anniversary, how about you?
Well, I think a lot of times they go underwater because they have underwater facilities. Our oceans are very deep, and what better place to hide? I believe they have underground bases too.
Well, back in the day.
But as far as what propels their craft, heaven only knows.
Yeah, back in the day, that was like the main interest of ufology. You know, the main interest was creating anti-gravity crafts. And
Tesla coils
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And thankfully we moved more into the consciousness values and rather than the mechanical values, because we weren't very successful in doing that. Now, a lot of people will say that, the government has been making these crafts and reverse engineering and stuff, but we don't know what's government and what isn't government.
That's right.
It's all just hearsay. But as far as the general public getting involved with ufology to create anti-gravity, I don't think there was any successes, at least publicized.
Well, they're not going to share it.
Right. So I have a question for both of you. I have a question for both of you. You both hold many titles within MUFON, and we never did get to what a coordinator is, but let's skip that for a second. And I want to ask both of you, and we only have how long do we have, Amanda? Maybe 7 minutes left. But what are what is your best case that each of you have researched? What's your favorite cases within MUFON?
Well,
it's 7 minutes or less.
I'm giving a talk this week.
Okay.
Go ahead, you first.
I'll go first. Out of South Dakota, there was an individual who was a photographer that used to go out at least 3 nights a week to photograph the stars. He even had some of his photographs in the governor's office in South Dakota, because he was really a good photographer, had very fancy equipment. Well, this one time when he went out, he went down into the Badlands, which he used to go to all the time. And he said normally he would not carry a flashlight or anything, because he said even if there was not a moon, for some reason the stars would light up the formations so he could still see his way around. But he went out to this point down this one trail and set up his camera, and he just got done setting it up, and there was this green light that showed up in the sky, and it started moving very fast toward him. And it came right at him, and he managed to get a picture of it before he hit the ground, because he threw himself on the ground because he thought it was going to collide with him. And it veered off, and he ended up having like a night glow green check mark on his film, because he had it set for what is it? Where you leave the shutter open longer.
Night mode.
And so it made like a big check. Now, when it scared him so much, he went back to his car, and he's sitting there in the parking lot, and he's thinking about whether he should go out again, because he had to drive an hour and a half to get there. This is something that he loved to do. So he decided to go down another trail. And so he goes down this other trail, and it's got like high formations on both sides. So it's like a ravine. And he gets down to the end of it, is setting up his camera, and he starts feeling like there's a predator. And so he turns around, and he looks back up the canyon he just came down, and he can't see anything. So he actually gets his flashlight out, still doesn't see anything, but he's got this horrible feeling. So then he looks up in the sky, and he sees this object that is not lit up, but it looks like, the way he described it was, with the way the stars and everything were reflecting on it, it looked like a diamond on its side. And he said the fat part of the diamond was in the front as it was moving along.
Wow.
So he's finishing setting up his camera, and he's watching it go behind a formation, and he's going to take a picture of it as it comes out the other side, and it never comes out. Well, he goes home that night, doesn't think much about it, but then the park ranger, who's a very stoic man, calls him, somebody that he knows, but he wouldn't consider him to be a friend. And he starts asking him if he was out there the night before and if he saw anything. And he tells him that, as a matter of fact, he did, and the guy's all excited. And to make a long story short, the guy talks him into bringing his camera and showing him the picture that he got down at the headquarters in the Badlands. And so he goes down there. He ends up not going into the headquarters building, because there's this log structure on top of like a flatbed that the guy that he was going to see comes out of, and he goes in after him, but he's thinking it's very strange. And there is an older gentleman there who's in plain clothes, an older, tall, slender man. And then there's a younger guy who's maybe in his 30s, who's in a military camouflage uniform, but there's no name tag and no insignia.
Wow.
As far
unfortunately,
as
we're getting a little low on time.
He's got a gun.
Unfortunately, that is an amazing.
But the guy was threatened, and ended up leaving South Dakota for a while, and is now back there.
Wow.
But
that is an amazing case. And that's a MUFON case too. So maybe, because I think there was those pictures, so maybe I can do that and share that. I wanted to mention too that Seth will be our guest speaker this coming Saturday at Colorado MUFON. There you are. And I love the title. So you think you want to be a MUFON field investigator. And I'm really looking forward to your presentation this weekend, Seth. It should be excellent. I had no idea it was Easter weekend, but hopefully we have a good turnout nonetheless. We usually do out here. So I want to thank some of our listeners too. There's Kathleen right there. I know we had Eric in the house, and Joe and Petita. So thank you guys for being here with us tonight. I also wanted to share just a couple of pictures, because we hung out with Daryl Sims. I think, Tara, you mentioned in plants. So there's a cool picture of us here with Daryl Sims. If we could bring that up, Tara, there we are. And then Tara, you got to hang out with Seth at anniversary. Talk a minute about that.
Yes, that was fun. We had our Ancient Aliens party when they had the MUFON Files preview. So you guys were in Phoenix in town, and it was really nice to get to hang out with you. But there was a whole group of us having a good time. It's fun.
That's awesome. And Seth, an anniversary, are you going to go to any more conferences this year? What's on your plate? I know you're busy. Can you just, in 30 seconds, tell us what a coordinator does? Because I know that takes a lot of your time.
Okay, well, CMS coordinator, there's only 6 coordinators. And what the case management system coordinator does is they review every case that is submitted into the system. So we review the case. We make sure that the correct valet classification is attached to the case. We make sure there's no curse words or anything derogatory in the commentary. We take out any direct identifiers like full names and addresses that the public can see. And so the benefit is we get to see every case that comes in.
Right. I was going to say that
shift.
Right. And it keeps you really busy. Keeps you really busy. Well, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to be our guests on MUFON What's Up. And, you know, I will be seeing you soon. I want to thank you, Tara, for being here, and Chris and Jerry and Jenna. Thank you to Bill Skywatcher, and of course to Amanda Curran, our producer. We can't do it without you running the back end there, and all our friends at KGRA and all our listeners and viewers too. And we hope to see you guys next week. Who do we have, Tara, next week?
We have coming up Marianne Robb and Dave Rich. They are cops and UFOs. So we'll be looking forward to that. It'll be real fun.
That's going to be a great, fun show. And then the following week after that, we have Dr. Simeon Hine coming on. So we look forward to those shows too. And we hope you all have a great week. And we will see you next Tuesday night. Keep looking up and report anything you see. Night.